Hello everyone, today we're going to be talking about how many signs, like 45 signs, someone is not for you and you need to leave. Well, this is really good for early stage dating as well, or if you're in a relationship and you're quite stuck and asking yourself if you want to leave. Before we get started, if you are thinking of leaving your partner, I think a great question to ask yourself is, do you like yourself more when you're with them or when you're not with them? Listen up, number one. You can't be yourself in front of them. You're always posing. I remember there was like this episode of Sex and the City where Carrie said she like always needs to wear the best outfits around him, and she finds herself even posing when she's with him. I feel like we've all kind of been in a situation like that, and yeah, if you find yourself not being able to be vulnerable or be yourself because you have this underlying subconscious feeling and fear that they won't accept you, there is a reason for that. Like, your subconscious is detecting fear, is detecting something that you are consciously not acknowledging yet. For example, if I'm on a date and the guy asks me a question to which I respond a white lie, I already know it's over. Because I'm like, why did I lie? Like, such a little thing, like why did I lie about that? It's me feeling unsafe because of like their behavior or something that I'm not consciously seeing yet, but my subconscious is detecting. You find yourself making excuses for their behavior. Unfortunately, when we're attached and in love, this is very common. We can't see things clearly because we're so emotionally involved. Your friends can see it clearly though, and your friends are the ones who are not going to make excuses for their behavior. Their communication sucks. You can't build a healthy relationship with poor communication, and unfortunately, some people just don't know how to communicate, and sometimes a man will not want to communicate because of his ego. He can't acknowledge his own faults. Also, people with avoidant attachment will be particularly bad at communication as well because they'd rather just avoid conflict, avoid the situation and walk away. Okay, next. They create feelings of unsafety. Feeling safe with your partner emotionally, physically, and in every other way is so critically important. And any little thing you do to hurt your partner or they do to you, it actually creates feelings of unsafety. So if you notice that you're constantly on edge around them, they're unpredictable, you don't know what they're going to do next, you don't have a safe environment anymore, and it's very difficult for that relationship to thrive. 3, they say hurtful things. If your partner in the heat of the moment says things to you, like you're in a fight and they say things they can never take back, they have no emotional regulation, and you shouldn't be with them because you deserve better anyway. And even more so if you're not having an argument and they just naturally say hurtful things or they make little comments. Thank you, next. They don't consider your feelings. That is an inconsiderate person. If you're in a relationship, it's we now, it's 2 of you. They need to consider you. So they do things as well knowing that that's going to make you upset. Thank you, next. Thank you, next. And they'll be like, oh my god, I'm sorry, like, I didn't think about this. They know, okay? They don't lift you up, but they drag you down. They take away from your life. Women, we're actually better off alone unless there is an amazing man that comes into our life to make our life easier. Because you know, like the studies, they show women were actually happier without men, but men, they need women. And there is so much that women we can get from a great man, and likewise we can give to him, but it's hard to find. And if that person is not adding to your life, they need to go. We all know this feeling when you wake up in the morning and you just have this heavy feeling in your chest because you know your partner is not meant for you. The day is ruined before 7 a.m. He has to go, or she has to go, they have to go. Their values don't align with your values. It will simply never work. They don't want to compromise. It will never work. A relationship takes 2 people. So you can't always be the one bending. They need to bend to you a little bit as well. They don't try to get to know you or ask you questions. To be loved is to be known. We all have been on that date where the person doesn't ask you anything, and then suddenly they're like, I'm obsessed with you, I'm in love with you. And sometimes it's chemistry, and you know what, like, been there before. But then you get to the point where you're like, you actually know nothing about me. And especially if you are a man with money or you're a woman who's incredibly beautiful, you will likely fall into something like this because people fall in love with what they see and what they hear. But if they're not falling in love with the authentic you, how can it ever be great? They continuously cross your boundaries. There is no respect there. Maybe they're just like that, but it will never change. You get brought up certain things you don't like to them and they also don't change. If they don't change, that's manipulation and they're selfish. They don't want to get to know your family or your friends. And that's not to say that your partner should be friends with your friends, but let's say like you all go out together. If they're like really acting disinterested or they're like making it a big deal that they have to go and meet your family and friends, you don't really want a partner like that. Like, they're just going to cause a lot of issues. They fail to acknowledge where they went wrong. I find this to be especially true for men because men, they have fragile egos. Guys, I'm sorry. They're doing like construction work outside my door, and for what? Why are you doing construction work Saturday, 15th of June at 3:22 p.m? They don't want to get therapy, okay? If they have problems and you suggest therapy and they're one of those people who are like, I'm never going to get therapy because I'm perfect and I don't believe in it, I really don't like that, because I think that's a lot of ego involved, and someone should never perceive themselves to be above getting help or above therapy, because it's also such a green flag if someone appreciates and loves you so much that they're willing to get help, you know, lower their ego, shrink their ego a bit, in order to help make the relationship with you even better. I recently started to do therapy again. I gave it like a month break, and then I had this experience which made me realize I had like some unhealed wounds, and therapy's been really great at helping me overcome that and learning more about my attachment style. Figuring out your attachment style and how it can work with your partner's attachment style is super important, and that's something therapy can definitely help you with. For example, if you're an avoidant, you need to learn to like stop running away from your partner and have more open communication and seeing their perspective instead of just like feeling overwhelmed and dipping. Therapy can help you with that. In particular, BetterHelp. Thank you, BetterHelp, for sponsoring today's video. BetterHelp will connect you with a licensed therapist who is trained to listen and help you with whatever you need. All you need to do is go to my link right here and fill out a questionnaire, and usually within 48 hours, BetterHelp will have paired you with the perfect therapist for you. And if you don't like your therapist, because therapy is a little bit like dating, you can simply request a new therapist free of charge. You can do it all from your phone or your computer, so you can also message them at any time, by the way, which I love. And then you can schedule a video call or a call whenever you want. So let BetterHelp connect you with the perfect therapist for you today. So you can visit betterhelp.com/SimoSimo right here, or choose SimoSimo during sign up and enjoy a special discount on your first month. So let BetterHelp connect you to a therapist who can support you. They don't make an effort and expect you to do everything. Bye. They stonewall you and they ghost you as punishment. So if you bring up anything, for example, you bring up something that they did that you don't like and they ghost you, which is especially true of avoidant attachment people, they gotta go. You know why? Because every time you bring something up and they punish you by ghosting you, creating even more feelings of unsafety in that relationship. Now when you bring up an issue, you will associate that with them ghosting you and then causing feelings of pain, and you're less likely to bring up an issue then and hold it inside. Be careful. Next, they blow up over little things you said. This can relate to the previous point, but yeah, they can't take accountability, criticism, a huge red flag. Someone who runs away from their feelings, very true of avoidant attachment people. This will be difficult because if they can't ever accept their feelings or acknowledge them even, they're always going to find reasons to run away from the relationship to avoid getting hurt, and also self-sabotage. Because to accept that they have feelings for you, they then need to be vulnerable. And if they run away from this vulnerability, well, there's really no hope. You can't make them become vulnerable. They have to do it themselves. That's why with avoidant attachment people, when you leave them alone and you actually walk away, they usually come back later on. They try to change you and they don't accept you for you. Everyone deserves a partner that accepts them for them. So if you even try to find yourself wanting to change them, it's already over. They are controlling and they don't do it out of love. For example, maybe you're going out with the girls, you're wearing a really tight mini dress. This is the difference between controlling and caring. One partner, that's the caring one, he thinks your dress is a little bit too skanky, but he's actually worried out of fear that you might be like a target for, you know, someone bad out there to do something to you. Versus the controlling boyfriend will be like, I don't want anyone looking at you, put something else on. He's not concerned for your safety, he's concerned that another man will try to get you. And it's all for him, while the other one's actually concerned for you. They're manipulative. Manipulation, there's a host of you know, ways to manipulate, and we have other videos on this, but a big one is if they keep saying they're going to change, they're going to do something, and they never do it. That is manipulation. Okay, they're inconsistent. If someone's inconsistent, they're going to create feelings of unsafety anyway, because that is unpredictable and it's not a healthy environment. Hot and cold, that can go back to inconsistency. Whether or not they're doing this to manipulate you, to make you obsessed, or they're naturally like that, both is a red flag. You want someone consistent. And by the way, you guys, people who are consistent are usually secure attachment people. Your body rejects them. This is especially true with women. Like during sex, you don't feel anything, you don't feel pleasure, or like you are too tight, you need to use like lube every time with them, or you can't kiss them. Like this is a thing for women, and like crazy how all of my girlfriends have experienced some degree of this. If I'm with a guy and like I don't like him, sometimes I can't even kiss him. Like my mouth will not want to open. Okay, they don't make time for you, especially if they're like a really busy man. If he likes you, he's gonna make time for you. And if he made time for you at the beginning and he doesn't anymore, something is wrong. Okay, we've kind of talked about this, but they don't take the time to get to know you, and instead they like the idea of you instead. They're pedestaling you now, and they're creating a fantasy around you, which you're inevitably going to fall from, because whoever lives up to a fantasy. You may be better than the fantasy, but it might not matter, because you can be better than the fantasy, but they want this fantasy and it doesn't match, so you're still gonna fall from the pedestal. You want someone who sees you for you and loves what they see from the beginning. They try to isolate you from the world, which is a form of manipulation. You need to walk on eggshells around them because you know they're going to react badly. You wake up feeling stressed. We talked about that earlier. If you're not waking up feeling excited and happy for the day, but you have that deep, fucking heavy feeling in the pit of your stomach, like, oh my God, I gotta talk to them today, or what are they gonna do today to mess up my day? It's done. You have to force yourself to like them. So maybe you like them at the beginning, and then suddenly those feelings kind of faded off, but you're really hanging on to how they made you feel at the beginning, so you try to convince yourself to stay and to like them. Women, I think we do this way more than men. Men are a bit more passive and they tend to stay and just like let it fizzle out, but I know women, we will like convince ourselves that we like them still and reasons why we should give them a chance. But if we find ourselves having to do this, it's usually already done. You only like them sometimes. So maybe you're great in person and you're terrible over text. By the way, no one is terrible over text. They can improve, they can learn, they just don't want to, okay? Yeah, you only like them sometimes. Maybe you only like them when you're doing a romantic dinner date, but you don't like them when you're just chilling at home together. They don't respect you. They can't control their anger. Okay, you don't want the same things in life, similar to you have different values. Okay, you have incompatible lifestyles and habits. They bring out the worst in you. I don't think I'm inherently a toxic person, but there have been times in like past relationships where I become super reactive and toxic because of their behavior. But when I'm with a secure person, there is none of that. And I don't want to be like that. People will trigger you and they will bring it out of you. You feel like you're their parent. And lastly, they don't make you feel special. We all deserve someone who sees the best in us, sees our potential, and lifts us up. If they're bringing you down and they don't make you feel special, they've got to go. Women, we've all had a partner or like a date that doesn't compliment us, especially if you're beautiful, because they know you're out of their league and they don't want to gas you up that much. But that's why you need a secure attachment partner who can lift you up, because they're not insecure. That is this video. My throat hurts. I've got to go. Ich liebe dich. Tschüss.